The Hills Run Red is a 2009 slasher film starring Janet Montgomery, Tad Hilgenbrink, Alex Wyndham, Sophie Monk, Danko Jordanov, and William Sadler. The film follows an obsessive filmmaker named Tyler who takes his friends to find a lost film called The Hills Run Red. Rather than find the film in question, they instead find its star, Babyface, a demented killer who is hunting them down one by one. In 2006, a New York production company named Fever Dreams was interested in looking for West Coast filmmakers to make movies from two scripts they had, Wicked Lake and The Hills Run Red. Fever Dreams had first made a splash in the horror scene with Terry West's 2003 film Flesh for the Beast, but had not garnered any critical success, and they were wanting to make something artistically and creatively respectable. After being turned down by multiple filmmakers, they reached out to producer Robert Meyer Burnett and director Dave Parker, veterans of Charles Band's Full Moon films from the 90s and creators of many of the famous Video Zone featurettes. Parker chose the Hills Run Red script in part because he always wanted to do a slasher film. The initial script was significantly different from what exists today. Originally, the script had the antagonist Babyface wearing the literal skin of a baby's face for his mask. Parker did not feel comfortable doing that, and also felt that a killer wearing someone else's skin could not be done any better than Leatherface, so why bother? The script also included many overt references and in-jokes to real-life horror films, which Parker had already done previously in Full Moon's The Dead Hate the Living. Enter David Scow, who did a complete script rewrite. Scow was most famous at that time for being the writer of Alex Proyas's The Crow, but also had horror credentials, having written Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, along with Critters 3 and 4. With Scow's new script, the film was greenlit with a budget around $350,000. Parker and Burnett had put together a quick teaser at the request of Fever Dreams to sell the vision of the film. Parker storyboarded all of the shots, which they put into an animatic, and they did a one-day shoot referred to as the Theater of the Dead teaser. During this time, Robert Meyer Burnett had been working on a special feature documentary for director Bryan Singer's Superman Returns film. Singer championed the film after visiting the set while they shot the teaser, and later put Burnett in touch with a contact at Warner Brothers. Parker and Burnett pitched the film using their completed teaser and Scow's script, thinking there would be no way it would be accepted considering the content. More on that later. However, after 2 weeks, Warner Brothers, who had just gotten into a partnership with Joel Silver's Dark Castle Entertainment, called them back and said they were interested. Dark Castle had been most known at that time for their series of mainstream horror remakes such as House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts, and House of Wax. The script contained content such as incest, sexual assault, and violence against children, which was not something Dark Castle was known for. However, to the surprise of Parker and Burnett, the company not only agreed to make the film, but urged them to go as dark as possible because they planned to release an uncut version for DVD, which was a very lucrative practice for horror films at that time. Parker was allowed to direct the film based on the strength of the teaser, and Burnett was allowed to stay on as a producer. Casting was a long and arduous process. Now that the film was a major studio release, Dark Castle selected many of the actors, and Parker did not actually meet the principal cast until a few days before filming was to begin. Sophie Monk, who plays Alexa, was a selection of the studio heads. She was an Australian singer and model who had done some minor acting roles prior to this, and was excited to play a meaty role with some substance. Though initially a champion of the film, Monk would give an interview in 2019 claiming that she did not like working on the film and that she passed on Heather Graham's role in The Hangover to do it. She also admitted to unprofessional behavior on set by not knowing her lines, which caused multiple takes and infuriated Alex Wyndham, who plays Lalo. He admonished her for a lack of preparation during a particularly uncomfortable scene for him in which he was ball-gagged and tied to a pole in the cold. This was the first major film for Janet Montgomery, who plays Serena. She was one of the few actors that Parker cast rather than the studio. Montgomery has gone on to be a very well-respected actor, most notably appearing in the TV show Salem. Tad Hilgenbrink, who plays Tyler, the obsessed movie fan, was known mainly for playing Stifler's younger brother in 2005's American Pie Band Camp. He also appeared as the lead in Lost Boys: The Tribe. Hilgenbrink actually felt he may be wrong for the role, and that he and Alex Wyndham should have switched. However, that was not possible. Hilgenbrink would only do one more film before leaving the industry. Respected character actor William Sadler was the first and only choice to play Concannon, the mysterious film director.
I think the world is crazy. I think it takes a certain amount of crazy to show the world who they are. Otherwise, you're just bullshitting them.
Sadler had a previous relationship with Joel Silver and came on board relishing the opportunity to play such a vile character. Concannon was only ever referenced in the original script, before Scow's rewrite made him a central character. Scow noted that he must be found to make the film work. Babyface was played by Rachel Vasilev, who is still a working stunt actor to this day. The Babyface mask was sculpted by Jim Cagle, who previously studied under Rob Bottin in the makeup department of John Carpenter's The Thing. The design of Babyface is held in high regard by fans of the movie and can be seen in tattoos and cosplay for fans of the film to this day. The film was shot in June of 2008 in the Eastern European town of Sofia in Bulgaria. The shoot was a fairly straightforward process, with Parker only having to deal with unruly line producers and a cinematographer, Elon Rosenberg, who had little knowledge of horror and whose claim to fame was shooting Power Rangers episodes. The film has some very gory moments, with Parker's only regret that they were forced to augment some of the more violent kills with CG in order to pull them off properly. Editing became the main headache. When the uncut version of the film was screened to executives, they were shocked and disgusted at what they saw, which included scenes of William Sadler beating his wife to death while nude, Babyface assaulting Serena after receiving a lubed-up hand job from Alexa, and a little kid literally cutting his face off with scissors. All of this was in the original script that was greenlit by Dark Castle, and it was Dark Castle that told Parker to go as dark as he possibly could. But then they demanded it be cut after they saw it. The conflict that arose led to rumors that Parker had been fired and locked out of the editing room, but those were all false. To this day, the studio has refused to allow the uncut version of the film to be released. The film was heavily promoted by Dark Castle, even getting a Hall H presentation at the 2009 San Diego Comic-Con. However, after some initial buzz, the film was generally considered a critical and financial failure. Parker has stated in interviews that there was never any interest in making a sequel to the film. Shout Factory released a Blu-ray in 2020 filled with over 6 hours of featurettes put together by Parker and Burnett, as well as multiple audio commentary tracks, and Parker has stated that even this release did not generate much interest in the film. This is a shame because this is a really fun slasher film with a neat premise and a lot of talented people in front of and behind the camera. It's got what most slasher fans want, gore and nudity aplenty, and a really fun story about filmmakers attempting to find the most brutal lost film imaginable, and then what happens when they find it. Parker's influences were films like The Burning or Humongous, but there's definitely some John Carpenter In the Mouth of Madness or Cigarette Burns vibes going on here. If you like gory slashers, I recommend giving this a watch. It's a brisk 80 minutes, less if you don't count the opening and end credits, and features some very fun performances. Thanks for listening to another installment of Forgotten Horrors. I've been out for a while, but I'm going to try to get a new episode out every month. So hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to know when the next episode drops. Next month, we're going to check out a forgotten Jeffrey Combs Lovecraftian anthology called Necronomicon, Book of the Dead. Until next time.